Y'all, we here with this one here. Y'all know her?
Hey, y'all. Hey.
So, in this episode, we are going to go to court with Corinne, who is also going through an eviction process, and today is her judgment day.
So
Corinne,
dramatic.
are you ready to talk to us?
I am.
I got on my professional earrings, y'all.
I'm so proud of you.
Okay, so basically she has a tenant. Give us a little bit of the backstory, boo.
So before they were a tenant, they were a friend for 12 years, and they moved in, and they paid May, June, and July rent, and then that was it. But prior to that, where I operated on friendship, we did not sign a lease. So the lease was ready. We were going to talk about it, but I allowed her to move in while I was in Costa Rica. While I was in Costa Rica, she changed the locks. When I came back from doing the lease, we were supposed to come to terms about the things in the lease, and that never happened. It never got signed, and we never had the meeting to have it signed or talk about the things that we were going to talk back and forth about. And so that brought us to this moment of, you want more? We served after the days after the rent wasn't paid for a couple of months. I went to get an order, and in my case it was 75 days. I think yours was 5 or 30, but mine was 75 days. So we went together and posted that.
And so this is Baltimore County.
Baltimore City.
Baltimore City. So every county / city, they have different rules of engagement.
Mm-hmm.
So for hers, it was 75. Was it 65?
75 days.
75 days. You have to give 75-day notice, whereas in my county, it was 30-day notice.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it was 75 days. We did that on September 25th, and then I went back on December 9th December 10th to see if the property was not occupied. So the 9th was the last day, and I was like, let's close that out at that evening. Went the next day to check to see if the property was vacant, and the locks were changed. And this is the second time. So the first time she changed the locks because she said her son was going to get in my keypad and it was too easy, yada yada. And I was like, okay, like he'd get out the house too easily. He's 5. This time, I don't know what the reason was, but I called the lawyer. I say the lawyer because she's the same one, and I love him. He's awesome, very efficient, very affordable.
Yeah.
And he said, she can't do that, so you can change the locks, but you have to leave her a copy. So I did my due diligence, and I called the locksmith, and I'm handy, so I called him to bust the locks open, but I ain't paid him to put a new one on. I did that myself. And as I put the new lock on, when I came the first time to see if the property was occupied, nobody was home. When I came back to change the locks, then she came back, but she was in the back of the house. The next thing, her sister showed up.
Wait a minute, but you giving her too much credit because she might have been home the first time when you was knocking. She just didn't answer.
Oh, I didn't see the car. When I came back the second time, her car was there. So she could have been there, but her vehicle wasn't. So I just made the assumption that she came, because I texted and said, I'm about to secure do something with the locks. And that's between that text message and me coming back, that's when I saw her there. When I went to Home Depot to get the lock and everything. So I come back from Home Depot and I get the locksmith. I get in the house. I got the door open, and that cost me some money. And then I start putting on the new lock, and then all of a sudden the back door opens, and she comes up. She doesn't come say anything to me. She just goes like to the kitchen, and then she's doing stuff. And then the next thing that happens is somebody's like, and they come up to the house all like in a movie or something, all fast. And it's her sister. And her sister comes in and walks past me, and she's like, where's your papers? Where's your papers? You're not supposed to be here. So I don't say anything to her because she didn't say hi. And she's aggressive. And I've known her sister for years. I knew her sister before her. I didn't even know they were sisters until I saw them on Facebook. I'm like, you know her? I know them from 2 different places.
Yeah.
So I was in community activities with her sister on the board, neighborhood boards. We've done all types of neighborhood things together. So we've never had any issues prior to now. She comes in and she says that, and she sweeps by me. And I'm still working on the lock, listening to Abraham-Hicks, feng shui. And the next voice I hear is a phone like this yelling at me, and I'm not looking up. I just can't. So the phone's yelling at me, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna do my accent. Can I do my accent? It's my Trinidadian accent.
But first, how long at this point? How long had it been since she had paid rent?
This is December 10th, so I hadn't received rent since July. So July was the last rent I had sent.
July.
So that was like 4
and this
months
is in December.
Yeah, this is in December.
Okay, go ahead. Do your accent.
So yes. So the phone is yelling at me and it's like, tell her to get her corny ass out of there. Her corny cheesy ass. She don't know what she's doing. Get her corny cheesy ass out of there right now. Don't make me come over there. That was really good, wasn't it?
That was really good. That was really good.
Yeah, tell her to get out of there. So it's like,
and before this, all of these people you knew and have relationships with all of these people.
Correct.
Even the ones saying get your corny cheesy.
So back up to that, the first time that we had the key issue, my cousin's a master plumber was coming over to fix something, and I didn't have a key because remember I was in Costa Rica. She changed the locks without my permission, so we went to go get the key, and she gave me the address to her mother's house. I go to her mother's house to get the key. She's kind of standing in the door. They're having brunch. She's not inviting me in. Well, her mother comes in the door and she's like, "Oh, child, come in the house. I miss you. How you been? It's good seeing you. Don't linger." You know, she's like, "Come in." Her mother historically has always loved me, thought I was the bee's knees, and you know, been very kind and supportive. So I don't know what the story is besides it's your baby. And
what has she been telling people?
Yeah.
And not telling people that, girl, I ain't been paying nobody's rent.
Yeah. Or not telling me, like, I don't want to pay rent because you didn't. I don't even know that.
But it don't even matter because you let her move in.
Yeah.
As a favor, because you told her before she even moved in that you were in the process of rehabilitating some things and getting ready to fix some things, and therefore you weren't taking on new tenants. And she practically begged her way, parlayed her way into the space.
Yeah, parlay is a good word. Yeah, parlay. I was looking for someone to property manage
while things were going to be getting
I'm running a business. My house needs things done. And so I was like, I'm going to hire somebody to do this. Well, her mother and her stepfather do that. They flip properties. She was like, we have all these contractors because I'm always having problems finding contractors. I got you. So the agreement was she would move in and property manage the things that needed to be fixed. She would make a list. She would property manage. I'll fix them, but property manage those things. And I would pay her. And we agreed that it wouldn't come out of the rent. So you pay all your rent. Then you send me an invoice for this relationship, and I will pay you. And we did that one time. So she facilitated getting all of these old items out of the house. That was great. She found somebody to do that. I paid her $400 for that. Like 3 jobs altogether. And I paid her $400, and I sent her money on time, just, you know, and reimbursed her. So when the lease comes and she says, well, I can't sign it because I got issues with these things, like, how do you have issues with the things that you know that you're going to be taken care of?
Which is why I didn't want anybody as a tenant.
So I told her, I was like, no, let me just wait and get this stuff cleaned up and painted and first and reset. I finally just want to be a great landlord and reset the whole thing, and then you can move in. And she was like, no, I got you. I'll take care of it. She was like, girl, I'm Trinidadian. I'm West Indian. You know, we don't do germs and dirt. I got you. It's going to look amazing. I already got a plan. I'm so happy. This is such a blessing. I was looking back over the notes and text messages and emails because we go to court.
Yeah.
And those were some of the things said in there. Like, this is, and one of them said, like, oh, this is the best Mother's Day ever, because she moved in on like the 10th, and I think Mother's Day was that previous Sunday. And she's like, this is the best Mother's Day gift ever to myself. And it was a dream for her, and it was a great thing for me to have someone who I trusted to take care of those things. So that was the whole agreement, but it wasn't going to be done for discounted buckets, you know, of like discount on the rent. I was like, and because I said, when you send me an invoice for something, I might go. I can't afford that. So I don't want you to assume that every invoice you give me for $1,500 I can do. I can't manage that. I'll either find another contractor, but we have an agreement. And then I don't know what happened after that. Just didn't get the rent. So go ahead.
No, go ahead.
What I skipped, because I went all the way from September to December, from May to September to December. What I skipped was November. Me and your girl was living our best lives in Vegas. No, you weren't with me yet. You hadn't gotten there.
Oh, okay.
So I went for Thanksgiving to Vegas to a wedding that never happened. Anyway. And had not heard from her since September 1st, which is the day that we were supposed to talk and resolve the lease. I said, hey, look, I understand that things have changed, stuff's going on with your life that's different from when you signed up. Let's sit down to the table on the 1st. I'll come up there and we'll hash it out. Now, what I was prepared to offer her at that meeting on the 1st was either, as a friend, you could stay a couple more months on me till you transition. You know, your relationship's different than it was when you got here. and you can stay 2 or 3 months on me. She doesn't know this. Straight till she transitioned. I was thinking November, right after Thanksgiving. Or you can sign this lease. We can change the terms, maybe adjust the price or something, and then you just leave in May. One or the other. You sign this lease and you're getting out, or you stay as a friend. Like, because if I live there, I'd let you come stay with me and transition you and your son to something else. So you can stay till after Thanksgiving. I called my kids and everything. I was like, you think November's too long? Should I make it October? Should it be Christmas? So we had a whole family, like, trying to figure out how to give some grace to this young lady, because lots of people have given me grace. So I was like, why not? When I called her, texted her, and that's in the transcripts, to come to that meeting on the 1st, she said it was a storm. She was tired. Her son was tired. I didn't need to come over. And then the next message said, and you don't need to worry about the light bulbs because I got that. And that's when I realized I was being, is it called gaslighting or something? I don't know if it's that, but I was being, because I'm coming to your house. What do you mean you can't? Yeah. There's a problem. Like, I'm the one traveling in the storm. Once you get home, all you gotta do is sit there. You just don't want to talk about this agreement. So after the 1st, I did not feel like she was communicating integrity, so I really didn't say anything after that. So from September 1st until November 26th, I think it was, like a couple of days after Thanksgiving, she calls me. I'm in Vegas, just popping out of the Hoover Dam. Yes. And we're at the end of the tour, and so we're at lunch. And so I sit down for lunch at this Hoover Dam tour, and she starts talking. I remember this. Yeah. You hadn't gotten there. I think you came the next day. Yeah. And she starts talking for like 20 minutes. This is Thanksgiving. She didn't say happy Thanksgiving. How you doing? Where you at? What's going on? How's life? How's your family? She just starts talking and telling me all of these things that are going on in her life, and you're not going to believe this, and this happened, and this person got put in jail, and then that guy did this, and so-and-so, and my son's got, something going on, and this is affecting him. And she was just going in for 20 minutes about her and her playing on my vulnerabilities that would have worked before, maybe, before she found Christ. Right. And then she puts the phone on hold. I don't know the vocabulary word for it, but like, hold on, Corinne. Yes, baby, talking to her son. No, that's the same thing, like the thing I told you about why your game doesn't work because of the cable. It was almost like, because I turned off the cable and the security. I can't turn off the water and the electricity, so I turned off the cable and the security. And she's kind of like, I don't know what these words mean, but kind of like saying it so I can hear it, basically. Yeah. And feel some kind of way about the baby not being able to play on his tablet. Because there's no cable. Because there's no cable on that I'm paying for, in addition to the water. And Baltimore City water is, I live in a 3,400 square foot home, and that water bill is more than my water bill. I mean, that electric bill is more than my electric bill. Because it's just high up there. So that's a lot to do. And she was supposed to be paying that too. But she paid nothing. No cable, no electric, no nothing. Which, when I said something about putting it in her name, she was like, or mine, she was like, no, it's just like, anyway. Yeah, because at this point, you hadn't ran credit checks or anything like that, or background credit, because again, this is a friend. So there's no telling what she may have already messed up as far as her. Actually, but at the same time, and we'll take an intermission and go back to Vegas, okay? So actually, this is where you get to listen to your gut and when God is talking to you. On 3 different occasions, God said, don't do this. And one of those was when I asked her to do a credit check. I'm like, there was her and another candidate, and one of the other candidate lived there already. And I said the deciphering factor is going to be the credit check. And I'm going to put some other thought into some other things. When I asked her to do that, now you're both supposed to be helping with this. You're supposed to be my friend. I asked you to do a credit check. All of a sudden, she was like, why would I do that and put a ding on my credit and yada, 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 and mess up my so-and-so to do such and such and so-and-so. And the messed up part is, if she was applying for any other place, anywhere else, she would have had to do a credit check. And you ain't going to tell the man that you ain't doing a credit check because it's going to... Oh, and she said, well, are you, whatever you call it, are you certified or something like that? So I'm asking you for credentials, and you're saying, well, you can't ask me for that because you're not certified. But that's the things you were supposed to be helping me with. This is what she was selling the relationship on. Because I'm going to help you be legit. I'm going to help you be legit. Because I don't know how to be a legit landlord. Y'all take note to know what you're doing first. She knew. Yeah. So she wouldn't let me do the credit. And my whole gut was like... And then I kind of made it an excuse for that, and I just kept going because she kept talking me into like, this is a great movie.
And I ain't know none of this was going on at the time. So Corinne hid all of this from me. She always do that. Especially when it comes to money stuff.
I just don't think about talking to her in the beginning, and then it comes later and it looks like, well, why didn't you tell me?
Exactly. Why would you hide it?
Yeah. So I don't know. I sure was handy.
You heard her. She said she talked to her kids. Kids? What the kids know?
Three different occasions I was like told, like I said something and she said something and my gut was like, and I just kept going. And so back to Vegas. She calls, she talks for 20 minutes and about herself and her relationship and her child and all this egregious behavior and these terrible things. And in that moment, I'm realizing, like, this is your life. I'm in Vegas living my best life. Because you can't take all this personally and feel like something's being done to you or you brought this upon yourself or, you know, just something heavy. And I'm not feeling all of that. Mm-hmm. So I know this is not my life. This is her life. Plus, you said that too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the last part of the conversation, then she says that she came across, her ask was that she be able to stay. Oh, let me back up. You moved in May, you paid May, June, and July, and your security deposit. And then you stopped paying rent, August, September, October, November. And then in this conversation for 20 minutes, when you don't ask me, is the sun shining? You ask me, can you stay for 3 more months? Where they do that at? She asked me, could you stay for 3 more months? She said, I know some programs that I could get that will help, you know, pay the back rent and such, you know, and if I could just have another 3 more months. Now, in my mind, at this point, I'm thinking, why wouldn't you come to me and say, I just applied for some programs that you need to sign off on so that you can get your back rent that I already owe you. And in addition to that, it would be great if I got going through some things, can I stay another 3 months? That's not what happened. So to this day, she still hasn't done those programs. She could have.
But she probably didn't even qualify for the programs. Because I know, like, a lot of times, like, when my tenant was going through it, to qualify, you had to have proof that you were affected by COVID. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? That was one of the caveats.
Well, I called myself. So because I know all the real estate agents. Mm-hmm. The one that they gave me that I called for wasn't necessarily for COVID. And the lady said, all I need is this, this, and this. And we can do it. Mm-hmm. But you have to have a signed lease. So the only way that I could have done it is if the lease was signed. So I would have had to find her, call her, and be like, could you sign this lease? And at this point, I don't want you in my house. I'm not going to ask you to sign the lease.
Too much.
To repay everything so that you can stay longer. So we're not doing all of that.
Yeah.
So all the rambling for 20 minutes, I finally say words and I say, so what I'm hearing you say is, the part that pertains to me, is that you are asking me, can you stay in my house, another 3 months? And the answer is no. Crickets. Anything else? Because the rest of those things are not my business at this point. I don't care. Yeah. So that was November. And then there was December with the police. So we go back to December, and I'm changing the locks, and I'm getting fussed out on the phone, and then the cops show up. Oh, yeah.
So they call the cops.
They call the cops. So the cops show up, sister, mom on the phone, and then the police. So the police come to me while I'm changing the locks and say, hey, how can I help you? And I'm like, I don't know. I didn't call you. So he goes further in the house, and he talks to her, and I don't hear, because I literally have Abraham in my ear, and I think, my partner is somebody. I'm talking to somebody, trying to stay calm. And all I hear is something, and she's something, and I heard the word intimidating me, and I was like, you gotta be kidding me. This one was like, you should have recorded it. And I just was so trying to stay zen and get it done. Like, I needed support. I didn't think about it. Mm-hmm. But so I hear intimidating something. So he comes to me, he tells me what she said, and that I'm not supposed to be so-and-so. So what's up? And a nice officer. And I said, well, my lawyer said this is that. She hasn't paid the rent. I can change the locks. I'm going to finish changing the locks, give her a copy of the key, and I'm going to leave. And that's exactly what I did. And I showed her how to use the lock. I did everything I was supposed to do. She recorded it. And when she was recording it, and the officer was standing there making sure that there was no drama, even though the drama was being presented at me, because I literally said nothing. I didn't say hi to anybody. I didn't say anything. People were just rah, 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 rah. Yeah. And she was saying, well, if you were communicating, then something. Like, how delusional are you? What do you mean if I was communicating?
Because that's probably the story she's been feeding her family.
Yeah.
So she had to keep up with that.
Right.
These professional squatters know how to professionally squat. And they know what they can get away with, the time, how much time they have.
Yeah. And what they have to do.
Yeah, so you filed for tenant holding over.
I did.
Which is different than failure to pay. Failure to pay can be more tricky. The problem with failure to pay is sometimes the judge will give them the opportunity to pay and can give them more time to pay. But holding over means you were supposed to be gone and you refused to leave.
Right.
And that's what I went to court on as well, holding over.
Yeah. Now, they gave me 5 reasons. I don't remember all of them, but one is a holdover. One is your intention to move back in. One is renovations, but you got to go get permits.
And this is Baltimore.
One is an intention to sell, and then there was one other. So the only one that was in integrity that I could go with was the holdover for reasons of reacquiring the property.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that was legit, other than me making up a lie to get my property back.
So your lawyer sent you some questions that they may ask in court. First question is elements of tenant holding over is lease has ended and tenants have received a notice to vacate.
And that's yes?
Of course.
This is a question. Oh, okay. So,
no. That's just written there.
Okay.
And then it looks like he has a statement that he is going to say. The lawyer, on behalf of Corinne, the tenants are still in possession of the property after having been given a proper notice to terminate tenancy by landlord. For this reason, we are asking for possession of the property. Do you have a written lease agreement with the occupants?
No, I do not.
So you had an oral month-to-month tenancy?
Yes, I do.
How much was the monthly rent? Are the tenants still in possession of the property?
No.
Yes. The answer is yes.
Okay. Studying, y'all.
And the reason why the answer is yes is because the tenant still has possessions in the property that belongs to the tenant, and the tenant has not communicated, even though Corinne did try to communicate with the tenant intention or what the status was, and the tenant did not communicate. Corinne had changed the locks again after a neighbor notified her that a male was going in and out of the property, and when Corinne went there, the property was unsecure, so she changed the locks again and reached out to the tenant to give her a copy of the keys, and the tenant replied, "Thank you, okay," or something to that effect. But when Corinne further asked the tenant about, are you complete? There's things in the I see that you
need access to the property. Are you complete, or do you need additional access to the property? And did she didn't say anything?
She never responded back.
So when the text message is in favor of her needs, when I say, "Hey, I just secured the property. Do you need, if you need keys, let me know," because I still have to do that. I still have to allow her to enter the property. She said, "Okay, thanks." And then just a couple hours later, the next morning, she did not respond to me asking if she needed. And that's historically what happens in the text messaging as it goes on and on and on.
So are you asking for possession of the property?
Yes.
Yes, I am asking for possession of my property back since the tenant will not leave. No further questions. Closing, Your Honor, the tenants are holding over. They have given proper notice to vacate but have not left. For this reason, we are asking for possession of the property.
Okay.
Because until then, Corinne legally cannot do anything with her property as far as cutting things off, cutting things on, going in the property, taking things out of the property, because if she were to go in and remove any of the belongings that may belong to that tenant, the tenant could then say she was properly evicted, or her items were improperly disposed of, and she could sue, which we don't know if that's her strategy at this point.
It must be. That's why she wouldn't tell me, because I wanted to know so that I could get folks in there, so I could have proof that you're saying you're no longer occupying the space, so then I could get started early, because this was a couple weeks ago. So I could have gained a couple of weeks, because I plan to put my house on the market. And
so what we think is that she probably did move out by this point while still leaving her possessions behind. And leaving the property unsecure in hopes that maybe somebody went in and did something to it. I mean, y'all know what my tenant did to my property, so come on.
And I'm super grateful because when I went to check it the last time to secure it, I went in
by herself. She is so
I had my friend in my ear, and I took pictures of everything. I didn't touch anything. I didn't remove anything, but you know, there was no blood on the walls and no holes in the walls and stuff. It was
no homeless people in the basement.
Just lots of junk, lots and lots of junk, and refrigerators, and like the washing machine and dryer. Her washing machine and dryer is gone, but mine is not put back. So part of her, she has my washing machine and dryer, but you know, just like it's not. I'm okay. Like
she took your washer and dryer?
It's in her storage.
Ah.
Yeah. So she was in charge of like the storage piece. I mean, I wasn't attached to it. I don't want to make excuses. I don't want to.
But if you were to go back and do another claim for damages or whatever, which would be a separate court case or whatever, yeah, that could be.
Yeah, because you gotta go sue for something else. That doesn't go with this.
Yeah,
she's responsible. My main goal, especially after I watched Netflix Worst Roommate Ever.
Oh, girl.
I think this is a conspiracy. I think this is not new behavior, and I want the eviction on record because this does not get to happen to other people. So that's really what we do.
Unless she went ahead in this short span of time found someplace else to live before this hits her record.
Yeah.
But who knows? I mean, we can speculate all day. Yeah, but we don't know. We do not know. Like I said before, and I will say it again, it's just interesting, the laws in the United States of America where you can go to Walmart and steal, shoplift $200 worth of goods, and that will be a felony on your record.
Yeah.
But you can steal occupancy,
like
in something that doesn't belong to you.
$1,000 worth of occupancy.
Thousands of dollars of occupancy. Like, you can't even do that at the Marriott.
No.
You can't even do that at the Hilton, at any hotel. They have the right to lock you out of the room and keep your possessions.
Yeah.
But in a property that is valued more than a room in a hotel, you have no rights. The fact that
in this space, if I needed some place to stay because of COVID, because of whatever, because I don't have a place to live other than my home, I can't stay there. And the only way that should be okay, that a person can stay there like that, and they shouldn't be homeless, if I can't be homeless either. If I can't move back in my house, she can't stay in my house
for free.
And I likened it to a car, a vehicle. You can't be at a stoplight and this door is unlocked and somebody jump in the car
and say it's my car now.
It's my car now. And they travel you all over to work and at home and sit in your car and drive you to California.
And then I said the simple fact that even in my case, where a tenant created hundreds of thousands of dollars of damage in a house, but that's not criminal.
Right.
That's not criminal because they're a tenant and they're protected under tenancy laws and rights. That is just no. And that's not right.
Going back in history to think in my mind, most laws like this were created because they're trying to account for something else that was a imbalance on the other side. And there was the era of the slumlords where people did not take care of stuff and then they threw people out on the street and they could do whatever they want. But there's a balance between that and this. So that's not right, but this isn't right either. It shouldn't be this, deliberate and easy. We were talking about an article where the lady was a nanny, was hired, came in the house and stopped working as a nanny and then didn't leave until she held over.
Yeah. So it's interesting. So we will come back to you guys after this is over with the results. We are going to get, and then we'll probably go back. Hallelujah. And then we'll probably even go buy the house after this too, right?
Yes, we is.
Okay, we is. I'm off. I did 6 hours today.
Yeah, I took the whole day off.
All right, y'all. So see y'all later. Bye. Fair East Side. And on today. That's what this place reminds me of.
You know the words.
I know. All aboard. All aboard. For East Side High. All aboard. Yeah, so Baltimore court look like some Fair East Side. Oh man, we should have took y'all in that bathroom. Yeah, it was interesting. You can tell by look at the hallway. Don't that y'all. Oops. There we go. Look at that. Yeah, so we in East Side High right now.
I know that actually looks like my high school stairs.
Exactly. High school from the 80s and the 90s. Yep. So, but we here at the courthouse. We here super early, so we just gonna chill here and you know, be like Ferry side.
We back.
Hey y'all.
So what you got to say, boo? How'd it go?
I got my house. Almost.
Well, y'all know it's a process.
I got the right to get my house back.
She now has possession of her house, which means she can now file other claims against the house to include the right to evict. And the eviction process is when you actually go and physically remove a tenant and or the possessions from the property. Until then, even though she has possession of her house, she can't go in there and just start throwing stuff out. Ain't that crazy? It is. I know. Ain't that crazy?
I mean, I'm saved and everything in the name of Buddha, Jesus, and Allah, but
that's crazy.
It's emotional. I just feel like, and she has the right to appeal the decision, to not show up in court, didn't pay, you know, all this stuff going on, and I don't want to feel self-righteous.
And the right to appeal, which that didn't happen in my court case. But he says it actually happens everywhere. But I guess sometimes, if the tenant had actually showed up, maybe that would have been discussed. But the right to appeal means that if she did want to appeal, and I guess this makes sense a little bit for the fact that you can't just be appealing all willy-nilly. Yeah. If you want to appeal, you got to pay to appeal. And so she has to pay twice the rent rate. But it sounds like the court could have did it up to 3 times the rent.
That's when I felt my mood change a little bit. Like, why is she negotiating down to 2? Like, let me try to give her a chance.
Yeah,
and then she said,
let me make it affordable.
Make it cash.
So that part, making it cash, meant that was going to help you a little bit. Yeah. Because it's going to be hard for somebody to come up with cash.
Do 3.
Meaning you can't put it on a credit card, or you can't put it on a whatever. Yeah. Or a check that may bounce.
Yeah.
So you got to do it with cash. But yeah, so it's like, yeah, why not just do 3? Because again, this is
the point is not to appeal. That's the point, to make it not easy for why would you make this part of the process easy for her?
And so the tenant gets like 10 days to appeal. Meaning, that also means, because the tenant gets 10 days to appeal, that also means that her right to get her property back is also held up by 10 days. Right. So therefore, the judge won't sign the writ for, what's it called? Writ for possession? I can't remember. Writ for restitution, which would be the eviction. The judge won't sign off for that for at least 10 days because you have to give the tenant the full 10 days to appeal, if they are to appeal. And so that's why Corinne feels like enough is enough. Like why? For why? For why?
For what? For why?
Yeah.
But I'll tell you one thing. Us hungry.
Us is hungry. But in the meantime, there were also a few cases before us. So what did you think about the first case?
Oh my God.
The first case was both people were there, the landlord and the tenant.
No.
Nobody dresses up.
No, the landlord wasn't there, remember? The lawyer was there for the landlord.
The first case.
Oh, the first case. Yeah. The first case. Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah.
The first case with the lady. I was like, nobody dresses up.
So first, I wanted to go first, but I'm glad I didn't, because
what happened to professionalism?
It gave you some. It gave you some perspective.
Yeah.
But it was just like the first case. The lady's being asked questions about why she's not leaving, and she's like, well, I don't have enough of this, and I can't,
and I ain't got a moving truck,
and I don't have anywhere to go, and I don't have a moving truck.
And she only gave me 30 days. Mind you, she gave her 30 days back in August. It's March.
It's like, she's not asking
the judge was like, but it's now August, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. 7 months later. 7 months later. And she said, apparently she had a dog who tore everything up.
And then, like, I love the law in this aspect. I wanted to be a lawyer. But in the aspect, she asked a direct question, and you're talking about stuff being fixed and dogs and all this other stuff.
The tenant was saying all of that.
Why are you still here? Even if you
and she said, the tenant said, oh, I already moved. I got another place. I just need more time to get my stuff.
But before that, she said she lost her job. She got 3 kids. She's such and such and such, so she couldn't afford it. But she then said that she, and then she said something about the inspector with the note on the door. She said, no, the inspector didn't come.
I just seen the note on the door.
The only inspector that I saw was somebody that put the note on the door that said ain't nobody supposed to be living here.
Yeah.
But
so the judge was like, that's exactly my
But she
point.
said her rent was $1,000 a month. She says, but I've been paying it. She get it eventually, right? Yeah. It was like, I pay.
It was so petty. She was like, I pay it. It don't all be at once, but sometimes I pay it. And she wants it on the first, but then she said it was the 15th. So, but the landlord said, she said, I don't give you the apartment in chunks. I want my rent. I don't want my rent in chunks either.
Yeah, but you know what I learned from that though?
What, babe?
Keep your contract simple. It sounds to me like the landlord had a too complicated contract because she had that clause in there with the right to buy, rent to buy after 2 years and the 24th month of the last day of the new year. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was just like, just keep it simple where you have this contract, and if that's another contract,
write that one.
Make that a separate thing outside of your lease.
Write that contract, because after the first contract ended, she didn't do a new contract, so she just automatically went into month to month. So all of that she was talking was really irrelevant to the fact that after August whatever, she did not create a new, I think she should have created a new agreement after August.
But remember, she said I tried to sit down with her to come up with the new agreement, but she would never come.
Familiar?
You know, it was like I have COVID, my son got COVID, the dog had COVID, all of that. And she said, because remember now, tenant holding over, you can't, that has nothing to do with the money. Mm-hmm. That has nothing to do with the money. So tenant holding over, you have to show that there was a breach in the lease based off of other things outside of not paying the rent. Right. So therefore, she was saying the fact that she had a dog, but the dog wasn't supposed to be there. But the tenant said, but there wasn't anything in the lease saying no pets allowed. Right. So again, make sure that you have a lease that speaks specifically to things that if these things are violated, I can have you removed. Mm-hmm. I can have this contract null and void.
Right. Make it simple.
Yeah.
And so I mean, you did it yourself, but I don't know. I don't know. But I feel like if you don't know what you're doing
with the lease,
so go in legit with somebody looking at the lease, but then come out legit. If you don't know what you're doing in court and you haven't practiced this, whatever, because that lady was going off on a narrative on so many other things.
Both of them were.
Yeah, both of them.
Yeah, both of them were.
And I had a whole.
And I think it's because I studied. You know, study. YouTube is your friend. I think it's because I studied evictions that came before me and what holding over meant. And it meant that the money part of it is null and void. The fact that she didn't pay rent is null and void with holding over. Otherwise, you would have filed a failure to pay rent.
Right.
A failure to pay. So, yeah, we learned those things on the road. And like I said, I just learned from that example, keep your lease. Don't be trying to do too many business moves in one lease. I guess that's what it is. So the 2 business moves that she tried to do was a lease and then this option to buy clause. Mm-hmm. And that's what the judge had kept circling back around to. Because had she not did that properly, that would have been a whole other thing. So I guess because the judge said she was trying to determine if this was a tenant who failed to pay and is holding over, or is this a owner, somebody possibly buying a property. Mm-hmm. I guess that would have been 2 different, you know what I'm saying? 2 different paths. So it worked out. And then the other court case was about the fact that the tenant was renting from somebody who wasn't even the owner. So almost like somebody trying to do a sublease.
No, it was doing a sublease.
Well, they were doing a sublease.
She put it on Craigslist and was renting it out. And so the tenant was paying the other tenant rent to stay there. And then the homeowner was like, stop paying that person rent because they don't own this home and they don't have the right to lease it.
So, yeah. So I was like, wow, that is interesting. And so they're going to have to come back where they're trying to work out a deal with this tenant for her to be able to stay, but to rent from the proper owner, mm-hmm. which the proper owner is probably going to want to run like the background check, all of that other stuff, which the other fake owner probably never did, the credit check, mm-hmm. all of that. But at least she showed up to court. I tell you, it's crazy out here in these streets. But yeah, so Corinne feels sad.
I'm over it.
Because she want her house back.
No, I was saying,
they get so many rights.
Yeah, my drop was like, you get a 75-day notice, you get 9 months
in
of not
Baltimore.
paying. You get your stuff is still in my house. I can't go in there. I can't sell it. I have mad equity in my house. I cannot sell it in this moment. I'm paying for 2 houses. I don't get to do that as a landlord. But if something, and even in this, if she was in the house and there was something wrong with the water and I would have to take care of that. And I would, because I'm a woman of my word, and I will do what I say I'm going to do. So I would just say take the emotions out of this situation. It's not personal, and do all your stuff legit. And this is not, everybody's not built for this, because what we're experiencing could crush people. When I watch the worst roommate ever.
Girl, those were mass murderers. We ain't doing that.
Well, the lady lost her house,
She did, but she was gonna lose her house anyway.
Yeah, I don't want to put,
because she had to take on a roommate, a stranger roommate. And you know what, that's a whole different conversation, girl, because I said this, her desperation, in Buddhism, desperation is a lower world.
So I wasn't
her desperation set her up for failure. The devil knows, God knows your needs, but so does the devil. Remember, she said, when this guy showed up with cash, I said, this is from God. No, the devil knows what you need too. So when he showed up with cash, that made her not do the background check, not do the thing, because he showed up with cash and said, I can move in today. And she's like, oh, here's the money. No, still do your due diligence.
That is the moral.
Do your due diligence.
Do your due
whether they're friends, whether they're families. Because again, Corinne had a friend, and sometimes you want to feel like you have a, that you can take some shortcuts because they're friends. But my thing is this: everything we do in this life is an exercise in being the business people we want to be. Everybody claims they want to be entrepreneurs. They want to be this. They want to be that. Stop practicing now, even with your friends. I still do contracts with friends. If I'm giving you a loan, you sign a contract.
Yeah.
If I give you a loan.
And,
I prefer not to.
Is not a blanketed distinction for people. When I look at this in retrospect, this is not necessarily out of character of the vibration that this person holds. So you're just making up stuff to say, well, she's supposed to be a friend, so I can feel more like a victim.
Yeah.
Okay? Because it's not like she had her life together ever since I've known her. So this is not new. So she don't have her life together. She moving from this place. She having financial issues. She has the potential to have this, be a musician, a hairstylist, all this great stuff, writing songs for famous people. So you have a big life opportunity that you're not cashing out on. But all of a sudden, you're going to show up in my space and be stellar. That's not how that works. You get to pay attention of how people show up. You ain't got to judge them for it. But I'm my mama's child. I be trying to hold a light for people to be great all of a sudden.
Yeah, and that's not your business.
It's not. No, it ain't yours.
And let me explain the worst roommate ever. What that story was. It was the fact that one of the ladies put an ad out, I believe it might have been on Craigslist, looking for a roommate tenant, because she was having issues paying her mortgage. Like, things had happened. It might have been, this was before the pandemic. Well, whatever. She was struggling to pay her rent. So a way she thought she could bring in more income was by renting out a room in her home. And this person, who was a professional squatter, showed up. And he knew the laws, he knew the rules, he knew once he got in, he had a right to be there and she couldn't put him out easily. And so because he went around town doing this, but he had cash money. So he's like, I can pay the first month cash. He had his U-Haul across the street, ready to move in. This is on the day that he was just supposed to meet with her, see the space, and possibly sign the lease or whatever. Because she said, I need to run a background check. I need you to fill out this application. And he's like, well, I'm prepared to move in now. Here's the money. And as soon as he flashed that money, her judgment went out the window. She said, oh, this is a sign from God. God knows what I need. She took the money and thought it was a blessing. But like I say, God knows what you need, but the devil knows what you need too. Be careful. Be careful. Where God would never ask you to lower your expectations or your standards.
Right.
And sometimes we do that thinking we're doing it for God. God don't ask you to do that. God will never ask such of you. But the job for you is to at least have some standards and some expectations. Have those things. Because God ain't going to give them to you either. Okay? It goes both ways. So, yeah. And so that's where she went wrong.
And he actually did that to 4 people. And all of the likenesses between them is that they were all desperate.
They were all desperate.
Level of desperation of finance
and women,
or wanting to help somebody and not taking care of themselves, and so they put him, first.
He knew
one
what
of the ladies that he did it to. He gave that lady some time. The other lady, she went to work the next day. He came in, didn't sign the paperwork like my
never signed a lease, just like yours.
And she went to work. I saw this was a conspiracy once I watched this. And he never signed the paperwork. She went to work. He came back. She came back. And her chairs were gone, her plants were gone. Like, he went immediately from buying her coffee, being a nice guy, to shutting it down and operating with, what he knew he could do. I was like, the next day,
it's not a conspiracy.
The next day?
Yeah, it's not a conspiracy. It's the fact that there are people out there who know the law, and they will use it to their advantage. He knew the law. He knew what he could do and what he could get away with. And then he knew how to mentally F with people.
Yeah. The famous thing he would say is, "It's my house now."
Yep.
So he knew. He wasn't even trying to fake like he didn't.
And there's a lot of one out there who know. Girl, I be watching stuff on YouTube all the time with people who can't get their tenants out. Even the roommate tenants, That's why for me, I don't do roommates. As far as people who say, "Oh, I know somebody who's looking for it." Nope, not interested. Not interested.
Yeah.
The ones I do are the student interns who are here through, my connections.
Right.
Meaning there's just so many things. They're young. They ain't trying to mess up their lives just yet. Mm-hmm. So I ain't trying to do people who already messed up their lives and got nothing to lose. These people are just starting out on life. Their future's bright for them.
Yeah.
And some of them, their parents are paying the rent. So, Yeah, so that's what it is, y'all. But, hey, part 1 is done. And are we going to go buy the house today?
Yes.
Okay, and we're going to go buy the house today. Bye. Because she does have the right, we asked. She does have a right to go in there and check on her property, this, that, and the other. She just can't get rid of things out of that house right now.
Fake man.
Yeah.
What's this thing?
That's the lockbox for the key for the other lock.
Okay.
No longer. But this is where we started. This is the original lock. I don't even know which key it is.
Yeah, we here. I remember when Corinne lived in this space. Talking to my camera, boo. Yeah, when you lived here. Yeah, the beautiful space you created for yourself. And Corinne, you got brown cabinets. Why you tell me to get white cabinets?
Why I say get white cabinets?
Uh-huh.
Because I think you get white cabinets.
You okay? Your cabinet's brown. This chalkboard. The backyard. Yeah.
Yeah, but all his stereo. It was like a studio, yeah, like a musician studio. It was nice. And then she had put fabric all up here. Like she stayed up fabric all up here.
Is that door locked?
Cannot be extended. So it's over like on the 29th. Oh, Jesus. Like, all the lights.
These things were never practical, right?
No.
With how, like, shallow they are.
No.
And that's a shallow bathtub, too.
I think they're pretty and aesthetic and everything.
Yeah, but just not like...
But, I mean, they're fine. They work like anything else. It's just not who wash your clothes in it. Protect the house.
She did. She protected it because this house was left unsecure for who knows how long. And ain't nobody get in here.
Yeah, so you see how everything just needs to be removed, like fix that, clean that, rinse that out.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
dump everything, then clean everything.
Because it's like, it definitely has like great stuff, like, you know.
Yeah, so like that, I mean, that always needed, that was part of the work that needed to be done. Somebody did it and didn't do a good job.
Mm-hmm.
There's no washer and dryer. But I'm not going to put one in here.
Yeah.
Touch that wall up, paint it, and clean out the bottom. And this was Laura's room.
Oh, this one was Zora's room?
Yeah. This was Jalen's room first. And then
I thought that one was Zora's room.
No. Oh, that was Zora's room last. Like when I lived here recently, I made that her.
Oh, okay.
So when she was born, she came into this room. That wall was eggplant. And she had an orange couch. And her
okay.
Yeah, it was so cute.
And then the last room with these beautiful brick walls.
Even in that, this is where we used to have the art hanging. So cute.
Yeah.
Art.
Girl.
Yeah, so all of this stuff is left in there. I mean, I just don't think it's a lot. It's just got to go.
Yeah.
Probably definitely have to do a carpet so which I had just kind of done, but that's enough. That's it. We can come here. My little life now. Hey, Taraji.
Yeah.
Well, I'm excited about your place being done. So it reminds me of the whole that is. You know, we're all visionaries and we can see.
And see, possible. I think this is why I think like this color looks elegant. This dark wood to me.
Yeah. But it needs to be in the right space.
Mm-hmm.
So I think
not the kitchen.
Well
not the kitchen.
In the bar area.
And in the bathroom vanities. So this is the space, guys. Corinne, do you have any words for your space that's been returned back to you minus the sheriff?
Only thing I'm feeling right now, reading the wall and being here with you and thinking about the 12 years that I've owned this home is that, to cry, that my divinity is within. This house used to mean so many things, like being attached to what it is and what it's not, what it could be and all that. And I think that's why I didn't let it go or, held on to it for so long. And who I am and what I am is not wrapped up in this house. I did that with a job before. I've done it with relationships. And so I just get to move with fluidity and ease. Like, you don't have to hold on to a relationship until it's terrible, or a house until it does this, or a job until you can't stand it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's all I'm feeling right now is just relief, but a little anxiousness because I want to love myself in a way that it doesn't take this much contrast to do something different.
Yeah.
God had to be like, no. And I still was like,
yeah.
How many times?
But
the beautiful thing is I never get abandoned. So just because I get abandoned doesn't mean I have to abuse it. And so that's what's the beauty. So this is recorded. So hopefully we won't be having this conversation in 5 years about something stupid. Okay?
Not stupid.
Yeah, it is
changing, transformational. It doesn't have to be like this to transform.
No.
It can be easier. We can transform in easier, gentler ways.
Yeah, I like it like that. I like the whispers and